So good, man. Yeah, I know that this brings you a lot of joy, and it's fun to be around you when you're talking about your vision because it makes me want to make my vision greater. And I think that's a true sign of a leader, and I think something that we've all brought to our teams. When I think of a compelling vision, I like to keep things really simple and synthesize the concept down. And for me, it means change because no matter where we are, no matter how great or not great our life is, when we talk about a compelling vision, it has to involve change. And that it has to be compelling enough, and we have to make it compelling enough that we want to go through that change because nobody likes change. I mean, the market's changing right now. We're all noticing that and feeling that to some extent or another. So, what have you guys done in the past, maybe for yourself or with your teams, that you have like actually done, tactfully done to incorporate vision?
Yeah, I'll jump on that. For me personally, I kind of developed a format that works really well for me. So this is going to be the answer for the personal side of it. So I created what I call a vision sheet. On one side, it's all my goals broken down, my values, my mission statement, and on the back, it's images of what I like to accomplish. So similar to maybe a dream board, vision board, I like to call it a vision sheet. They're laminated, two-sided, they can go everywhere with me. So like Lars, I break it down into 1 year goals, 1 to 3 year goals, and then 5 to 10 year goals. So I have personal and I have business. And then up top, I have my mission statement, my values, my affirmation. And this is just something that keeps me motivated, like that compelling future that you're talking about. I remember when I first started calling expired listings early in my real estate career, really the vision. And I think this is important for a lot of agents to hear because sometimes when you just have a 5, 10 year goal down here, it doesn't really feel real. So I like to, people talk about what's your big why. That could be your vision, your big why. And I kind of said, hey, what's your why right now? Because I think having a why right now puts agents into action faster than, for me, when I started, I was 26, and that was 10 years ago. I was like, I want to have a house on the lake one day. Like that was my compelling future, but it wasn't real enough. It wasn't tangible enough to really get me to pick up the phone day after day getting rejection. So when I discovered my why right now was to simply pay the bills, I used to say 20 contacts a day keeps the bill collectors away. Man, that fired me up on a daily basis to make the calls. So I think it's having a nice blend of what is your why right now, what is your big why in the future, and using those short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. So that's my answer for that.
Yeah, it's awesome. And what's funny is we all talk about this, the three of us all the time. Like that sheet right there, there's so much power in writing it down and visually like looking at it. And we've all talked about this, how we can go back and look at those journals and those one-page goal sheets from years past. And it's eerie how much of it has come to pass and we've accomplished those things. So, you may be watching this and this may be a new concept for you. And it's so simple, but the question is, will you do it? And if you will, you're going to find the power in it. Lars, you've run many different teams in business. You've been an advocate of this personally for as long as I've known you. What are some specific things that you've done to help cast the compelling vision and draw them into creating a vision of their own?
Yeah, so practically, I mean, when I think about the first, I don't even know what I called it at the time. I called it a business plan, but when you actually read it, it was more vision related. And I remember I just thought about like the 5 or 6 areas of my life, and it was 2009. So this was before I started my real estate team. I didn't have any sales background or anything like that. I was new to real estate. And I knew, so I sold 27 homes in my first 10 months. And then I was on track that year. I did 44 transactions in my first full year. So I kind of knew I figured something out. It wasn't elegant. I was working all the out of bounds evenings, weekends, and all of it, missing out on, time with family. And we had one kid and trying for our second, and, just missing out on the stuff that I said really mattered. So I just decided that, okay, this is going to be different in the future. And I had so it was a 2010, 2012, 2014. It was like a 1, 3, 5, 10. And I remember, which I don't actually do that today. I just do a 3-year vision, 1-year plan, and I work inside 90 days and weekly and daily. But at the time, I remember it was 2009, and I wrote 2020, and I still have this plan, and it was laminated, and it was on a big version, like 11 by 14. It was 8.5 by 11, and then I even had smaller versions that I can, that are like sort of half pages, and it went everywhere with me. And the front side was my professional, my business vision, and even some tactics, and the back was personal. But I got really clear on what I wanted my life to look like. And I knew where I was not it. Like I was doing 50, 60 hours probably as a real estate agent, and, 10, 15 plus hours, like building the business, which was a separate sort of activity, and the system side of it. But it did get me fired up. Like the market was complete crap. So it was the Great Recession in our market, and we're all sort of in a similar market back in the day. We went from 15,000 agents to 5,000 agents, and I just refused to participate in that recession. And the only reason, or probably the most important reason, is that every day I read, like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the reason I'm doing this? To provide a lifestyle for my family that they never thought was possible. And that was like first, because me and my wife grew up super, poor and jacked up, chaotic childhoods. And, I just didn't want it to be that way for my kids. And, but there's power in it, and there will never be the right time to do it. Like who has, like, oh, let me just block out, 10 to 12 hours over the next few days to work on. And in building anything worth having, there are just parts of it that suck, and you got to do them, if you're going to have a better lifestyle in the future. So, and then once I started bringing people into my world, it was creating a vision for the business and showing how they can feed into the vision. So, went from 44 sides my first full year, me just in production, to, 450 sides with 10 producing agents. And I was out of production, so I showed them, like, hey, you could come in and sell 4, 5, 6 homes a month. And we had agents selling over 100 homes in a year. So making their vision fit inside the overall vision of the company, and having them go through the process. They went through the personal and professional vision exercise as well. Because most people, we're pretty high performers, and we love personal development, so we do it. But if you lined up 1,000 real estate agents, 5 maybe, it wouldn't be 1% that have an actual vision.
Yeah, I like what AJ said about having a vision, or having what is your why right now? Like, I think that's super powerful, because when I think back of like my journey and experiencing this and casting vision and coming up with my goals, like I was so different 10, 15 years ago than I am now. Like, as you were sharing that, Lars, I was thinking back to, when did I first start doing this? For me, it was 2008. I got involved with this guy who became my mentor, and he had me reading the book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Helmstetter. And I was writing out affirmations. I had like these, those moleskin, like 5 by 8 little journals. I had those journals, and I started writing in them, and I have tons of them now, like a whole stack of them. I actually keep those in my safe, because I love to go back and look at them and see. I remember in 2008, I was sitting in my bed, propped up with pillows, because I didn't even have a headboard. I was in a townhouse that I could barely afford. And I was writing out, like, what do I want right now? Like, what would my ideal of a perfect life look like right now? And it's kind of personal, but I'll share it. I wanted a craftsman house, and I specifically wanted a craftsman house like that style, built by Kenneth Beeler, who was a builder in my marketplace. I wanted a Mercedes black S550. I wanted a Breitling watch. Like, these were just like aspirational things to me at the time, when I was broke as a joke, things that I thought I wanted, right? What's crazy is I create that book. I'm going through that, and then that book becomes last year's book, and the year before's book, and the year before that book. And by 2013, I had bought my Breitling watch, because I had my first $100,000 profit month. I was living in a Kenneth Beeler craftsman house with a swimming pool, which is crazy, because it wasn't like I saved up the money and sought him out and built it. I actually put an offer in on a foreclosure that had 30 plus offers on it, and I won it. And it was a house built by him. So it's like, these things have a eerie way of just like, the power of the universe is real when you put it out there. And Lars, like you, I think what happened for me is I got excited about this. And then I naturally want to share my excitement with others. The others happen to be my real estate team. And I said, hey, this is where I want the company to go to. Like, this is the vision I have for the company. And I think looking back, one of the things that I was able to do well was just bring the people into my vision for the company. So like, if we're going to achieve this as a company, the only way we can achieve that is if we all hit our goals. And one of the things that we used to do, my wife used to lead this and she was awesome at it, is we would bring all the agents in at night to our office and we would have stacks and stacks of magazines and we would create vision boards together. So we do this like, once a year. A couple times we did it twice a year because we were growing so fast. We had so many new people, and everybody in their desk area would have this huge poster board with all these cutouts of what they wanted. And we try to help them make that part of their daily practice too. And a proud daddy moment for me is when I hear about people that used to work for me doing these same parties at their teams and their companies now. I think it's really cool.